Good evening, everyone. Um, Tonight I will be discussing about the handling and processing of blood specimens for laboratory testing. Disclaimer lang, dili ni ako ang PowerPoint. Dili ako nang gibuhat ani. It is prepared by Patricia Nicole D. Fernandez, RMT. So, nakita lang nako siya sa internet and gi-edit lang nako siya gamay. Um, sa format lang man noon pero wala ko'y gi-add and wala ko'y gi-add and wala ko'y gikuha sa ihang PowerPoint. So, and before I start my discussion, I want everyone to take note. So, I'll give an assignment this will be your assignment. I need you to write down the important points or make a notes from this lesson. And there's no specific format, but please use bond paper of any size. Just make sure your handwriting is clear and legible. So I'll be checking your work next meeting. So please take this seriously because I'll give 10 points for assignment and 10 points for the quiz for this assignment. And I believe it will help you reinforce what we've discussed today. Okay, so let's start. Let's begin with a very important point about laboratory testing. So specifically the pre-analytical phase. So, 'di ba sa laboratory natay three phases, the pre-analytical, the analytical, and the post-analytical phase. So, this phase or the pre-analytical phase includes everything that happens before the actual testing of the specimen begins. So, that means collecting the sample, um, pag-label, labeling it correctly, storing it properly, processing the sample if needed, and transporting it safely to the lab. So that's your pre-analytical. So why is this important? Because um, if we don't follow the proper steps during the pre-analytical phase, the accuracy of the test results can be compromised. In fact, studies show that around 46% to 68% of lab errors happen during this stage. So I mean before the sample is even analyzed or in the pre-analytical phase. So that's more than half in some cases. So it's not just about taking the blood or getting the specimen. What you do before the sample reaches the analyzer plays a huge role in getting the reliable results. So, as future medical technologists or medical laboratory professionals or phlebotomists, especially if you're assigned in the phlebotomy area, it's your responsibility to know and follow all the correct procedures for each test. That includes knowing what kind of container to use or what temperature the sample should be kept at and how quickly it needs to be delivered sa laboratory. So when we say routine handling, this is part of your day-to-day job as a phlebotomist, but that doesn't mean it's any less important. So first of all, ang phlebotomists need to be skilled and knowledgeable when it comes to performing routine venipuncture. Phlebotomist nga, so meaning siya ang naka-assign for phlebotomy. But your responsibility as phlebotomist doesn't stop after magkuha og dugo. You also need to prepare the specimen for transport and ensure that it reaches the laboratory within the required time frame. So, ano man good, usually, there's a time limit for how soon a sample must be delivered. So, kailangan dyan natin mo stick sa anak na time. Unless, na ay emergency specimen or there are other valid exceptions. So, in routine handling, let's talk about the mixing tubes by inversion. So some blood collection tubes have additives. So specifically, for example, anticoagulants. So Our anticoagulants need to be mixed evenly with the blood. So, to do this, we gently invert the tube. So, meaning sa gently guys, kanang gina-upside down na to siya, upside down and back slowly. So, napakita na po na ako sa inyo ang diagram about how to invert properly your tube. So, dapat dili nato siya i-shake vigorously or i-mix vigorously. So, the number of inversions depends on the tube color, okay, or the tube color and additive. So, generally, naa sa 3 to 10 times ang inversion na niya, but we should stick sa inversion na nakabutang per manufacturer. So, for example, ang ato ang EDTA by BD, dapat 8 to 10 times lang siya gina-invert. So, dapat mo stick ta ana nga inversion. So, dili na to siya pwede i-shake too hard or vigorously because it can damage the cells or it can cause hemolysis. So, if there's a hemolysis, it can surely affect the test results. Next is transporting the specimen. So, in transporting the specimen, dili ta pwede nga after collection labay dayon sa basket or sa phlebotomy kit. So dili na to siya pwede inganaon. So because rough handling can damage the specimen. It can cause hemolysis also. Also, it can activate your platelets. Affect the coagulation test. Kasi syempre, it can, if possible, activated ang platelets, it can also affect the coagulation tests. Or even, it can break the tube if it's made of glass. So, syempre, gilabay lang nimo, and then pwede siya mabuak. So, to prevent problems, always transport the tubes with the stopper facing up. So, bawal siya na facing down or nakabaliktad ang inyong tube. Facing up siya always, bawal siya tagilid, bawal siya bali. So this prevents the sample from touching the stopper and reduces the shaking and helps form the clot properly for the serum samples. For example, your red and your yellow top tube. Also, remember to place the tubes in a liquid tight plastic bag. This have a biohazard label and a slip pocket for paperwork like the test request forms. So example ani niya specimen bag na to kaning nga picture. So dapat naa siya ay to gani liquid tight plastic siya, and then naa siya naa siya pocket dira sa may biohazard symbol para butanganan sa paper. For example is your request forms. So this is example of a container for transporting. So dapat naka-facing up ang inyong sample. Ang stopper is nasa taas, and syempre ang dugo is nasa glass lang. Dili siya touch sa stopper. So again, example sa mga butanganan for transporting your specimen. So next, let's talk about special handling. So this is when certain blood specimens need extra care to protect their integrity and also the accuracy. So not all specimens are handled the same way. So some are sensitive to temperature, or some are sensitive sa light, and if we're not careful, the test results could be completely unreliable. So let's go over to the three main types of special handling. So first is the body temperature. So some specimens must be kept warm in around 37 degrees Celsius, which is our normal body temperature. So if these samples cool down, they might precipitate or agglutinate, which means the components could clump or separate, making them useless for testing. So to prevent this, the collection tubes should be pre-warmed and pre-warmed, and during the transport we use portable heat blocks to keep them warm for at least 15 minutes after removing them from the incubator. So for short transport, even a heel warmer can be used if the specimen can tolerate a little higher temperature. So example test na need og kaning 37 degrees Celsius na temperature is your cold agglutinin, cryofibrinogen, and the cryoglobulins. So next is the chilled specimens. So some tests require the specimen to be chilled immediately. Why? Because cooling the specimen slows down the metabolic processes that could alter the levels of the substances being measured. So to do this properly, you submerge the tube in a slurry or crushed ice and water. So it is not just ice tubes, but a mix that surrounds the tube completely. So the specimen must be tested immediately and refrigerated based on the test requirement. So again guys, please be familiar with slurry, water slurry. So muna siyang specific na tawag sa crushed ice na ginagamit nato for chilled specimen. So examples include your adrenocorticotropic hormone or your ECTH, ammonia, acetone, your ACE or angiotensin converting enzyme, catecholamines, the free fatty acids, gastrin, glucagon, homocysteine, lactic acid, your PTH or parathyroid hormone, the potential hydrogen or the blood gas if is indicated in the request form, the pyruvate, and the renin. So please memorize all these tests for chilled specimens. Next is the light-sensitive specimens. So, some analytes break down or degrade when exposed to light. So, in these cases, we need to protect the specimen by wrapping the tube in aluminum foil or using light-blocking tube such as your amber-colored tube. So, example ani niya, light sensitive ang pinaginabalik-balik na ko always si bilirubin, which is common test also na ginatest sa laboratory. So, again, light sensitive sila, si bilirubin, carotene, your red cell folate, serum folate, vitamin B2, B6, and B12, and also your vitamin C, the urine porphyrins, and urine porphobilinogen. Okay? So, light sensitive, amber colored, or foil. Pwede mo magamit og foil, aluminum foil. So please paki-remember. Next is the criteria for specimen rejection. So after a sample is collected, it doesn't go straight to testing. Instead, it's first brought to a what we call the central area. Ginatawag na to processing or central processing or triage. Gina-check dira ang specimen na gi-collect ni phlebotomist. So in some laboratory na ay ingani na triage before sila ibutang sulod sa laboratory or central lab, but other labs is wala na, ginadiretso na siya sa central or sa laboratory section kung asa i-process si specimen. Pero importante jud na before, if ikaw si medtech and then dili ikaw ang nagkuha sa dugo, importante jud to check your specimen before testing. Okay? So from the triage, the specimen goes through 4 steps. So first is the identification. So we, as phlebotomists or as a medical technologist, we double check the patient's information. So no tests should proceed without proper ID. Very important yun na siya. Next is the logging or accessioning. So once identified, this is in the logging or accessioning, this is where we enter the specimen into the system sa inyong HIS or the Hospital Information System or LIS or the Laboratory Information System, which is assigning it a unique number or a barcode if available. Next is sorting. So once identified na accession na, isort na pod siya, meaning the specimens are grouped based on what department will test them. So for example, if that tube is for hematology, the tube is for chemistry, the tube is for immunology, or the tube is for blood banking. Yun. Next, after that, after sorting, you should evaluate. So evaluation ta. So we check the specimen's condition. Is it acceptable, or is the tube full enough, or tama lang ba ang iyang volume? Was the correct tube used, or this evaluation, because this evaluation um, is essential to make sure na ang results will be valid. So, if yung mga specimen natin doesn't meet the requirements, it gets rejected. So, here are some of the most common reasons. So, first is wrong or missing patient identification or not identified properly. So, again, this is a critical error. No ID, no tests. So, mao na ang rule na to sa laboratory. Next is inadequate volume. So, also called short draw. Gamay ra ang nakuha. So, if there's isn't enough blood, some tests might not work. Then, next is hemolysis. So, again, hemolysis is the breakdown or disruption of your RBC. So, they release the contents into the plasma. So, if ang hemoglobin is na-release, so meaning usahay magpula if grabe gross hemoglobin siya, pula na kayang plasma, it can interfere the test results. Next is wrong tube. Syempre, each test has specific requirements, di ba? Or specific top tube na ginagamit. So using the wrong additive can invalidate the results. So this is sample of your light blue tube with sodium citrate. So na siya minimum or the maximum level to fill in your tube. By the way, kani siya, the minimum maximum depende lang pod na siya sa manufacturer. Ang uban manggod kay specific sila sa ingana nga linya, dapat kana lang jud dira ra kutob ang blood. So you must require na dapat dira ra pod kutob na blood ang imuhang ibutang, especially if kung sodium citrate na siya. Okay? So, the order of draw. Again, please memorize the order of draw. It's very important. Kanang order of draw, color, and the additive. So, please, dapat mahuman ang ato ang klase, human atong semester, mag-graduate mo og PMLS 2 nga kabalo mo sa order of draw. Next, expired tube. So, outdated tube. So, the additives might no longer be effective if the tube is outdated. So, especially in EDTA, tingala mo, nag-clot na ang imong sample. O dito, expired na inyong tube. Improper mixing or handling, especially in tubes with anticoagulants. So, if not mixed gently, the sample may clots or clots may form in your sample. Next is contamination. So, contamination, example from skin bacteria, katong sa inyuhang collection for bacteriology. So, sa inyuhang SPS na tube or sa inyong sterile tube. So, wala na tarong og antiseptics. It can, the skin bacteria or the normal flora can cause contamination. Next, IV fluids. So, naay IV si patient and then gikuhaan ninyo siya, wala mo nag-discard, wala nyo gipalong within 5 minutes, wala mo draw below the IV line, and then wala ninyo gikuhaan o discard tube si patient, syempre the IV fluids can affect your result. Or external sources, pwede po na nakalimot ka. So, for example, yun, wala ni mo na close og tarong ang tube and then open siya. tapos na yung nag-ubo. So, it can cause contamination to your sample. So, yun. So, contaminated specimen, because contaminated specimen can mislead your results. Next is QNS, or quantity not sufficient. So, sometimes ang sample na to may look enough, but it's still not adequate for the test. Ilabi na if kung grabe kadaghan ang inyong test na ginadan for that specific tube. Another reason to reject your specimen is incorrect collection time. So some tests are time sensitive, especially those related to hormones or drug levels, or 'di ba sa drug nato nasa natay peak and trough level na gina-collect, so that is a time specimen. Also your FBS, or your fasting blood sugar, so natay specific time na ginakuhaan si patient ana, so incorrect collection time. Next is exposure to light. So again, example is bilirubin. So for light sensitive specimens, if your sample is lack of protection, it will degrade the certain analytes that you are testing. Next is testing time limit not followed, or testing time limit not followed. So some specimens nato must be tested quickly. So dapat ang delay is ginaano nato gina likayan, because delays can actually ruin the accuracy of your testing. Next is the processing delays, or errors sa processing or mistakes. So if ang specimen was not processed correctly or in time, syempre it may no longer be usable. So next, the time constraints and exceptions for delivery and processing of specimens. So once the blood is collected, it doesn't just sit around, so it needs to be transported to the lab as soon as possible. So ang general rule na to is you must, or the specimen must be delivered within 45 minutes after collection. Ano? Because the longer the specimen sits, the more the cells interact with the plasma or the serum, which can alter the test results, especially in your chemistry tests or in your clinical chemistry tests. So if the specimen requires centrifugation meaning it needs to be spun or patuyukon to separate the plasma or your serum to your RBC. So it should be done, if centrifugation, it should be done within 1 hour of collection, because if ever there's a delays, it can lead to breakdown of cells or inaccurate analyte levels. So example ani guys, if you are testing for glucose, so glucose can be done using your plain tube or your red top tube. So if mag-interact ang inyong red cell with the liquid portion of the blood or your serum, the red cell is buhi pa man dira within the blood or within the tube. So ginakaon niya ang glucose as the energy. So if ginakuha niya ang glucose ana na specific tube, meaning there's a false decrease when testing na. So dili na siya pwede, or dili na ninyo siya ma-release na result directly. Kay yun nga, there's a false decrease in your testing. So again, if it requires a centrifugation within 1 minute or 1 hour, 1 hour, dapat i-centrifuge na yun ninyo siya dayon. So, yun. Familiar man siguro mo sa centrifuge, no? But if you're not familiar with it, pwede mo mag-ask ako next meeting para mapakita na ko sa inyo kung saan naon ni centrifuge. So, now, what about hematology specimens, especially those collected in the purple or lavender stopper tubes that contain your ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid or your EDTA. So these tube or the EDTA tube are used for cell counts and other hematology tests, and unlike the chemistry specimens, si EDTA we do not centrifuge. Okay, dili na to siya ginabutang in the centrifuge. general rule na nato for purple top tube or lavender tube. So in hematology specimens, it must be remain whole blood. So meaning, may purpose ni anticoagulant dito para always siya maging whole blood. And if i-centrifuge ninyo ang inyong EDTA or ang inyong lavender top tube, it would separate the cells from plasma, which defects the purpose of the hematology testing. Okay? Because yun nga, in hematology testing, we need the whole blood, not the plasma nor the red cells. So in purple tube, these tubes should be gently mixed right after the collection. So usually 8 to 10 mix or inversion for your purple top tube, and it must be delivered in the central lab promptly. So even though they can remain stable for a bit longer, early delivery is the best timing or practice to avoid the artifacts like your cell swelling or changes in the morphology of the cells in your purple top tube. Okay? So again guys, remember that the routine specimens must be delivered 45 minutes after the collection, and then centrifugation should happen within 1 hour after the collection. Then yung EDTA tubes natin, bawal siya i-centrifuge. It must be kept as whole blood and delivered quickly. So next, familiar na mo ani nga term, while diba, niyon ko ganina that the specimen should ideally be delivered to the lab within 45 minutes and dapat ma-centrifuge siya within an hour. There are some important exceptions to that rule. So let's start within the most urgent one, what we call STAT or emergency. So emergency specimens or med-emerge atong tawag, or medical emergency. So these always take top priority, STAT. So make sure ha na if mention mog stat is with S jud siya, dili siya TAT. So TAT is different from STAT. So TAT is turned around time, while STAT is immediate or statim. So they must be delivered, processed, and tested immediately. So delays here in STAT specimen can be life-threatening. So they go ahead of all routine samples. So dapat STAT. Next is, aside sa stats, there are specific tests that have unique time allowances. So, example ani niya is yung blood smear natin. Si blood smear can be collected or can be done using your EDTA specimen. So, it should be prepared within 1 hour after the collection to avoid cell distortion. So, especially sa inyong mga WBCs. So, again, if mag-blood smear, dapat maghimo dayon if kung gikan sa EDTA specimen. But again, the best sample for your blood smear is the fresh sample from finger prick. Next is your CBC or your complete blood count. Ideally, guys, the CBC must be analyzed within 6 hours, or ideally yung CBC, it can be analyzed within 6 hours, but still acceptable for up to 24 hours if kept at room temperature. Okay? Yun yung CBC natin. Si ESR naman, or your erythrocyte sedimentation rate, this is from your EDTA specimen. So this test is time sensitive. So it should be tested within 4 hours if nasa room temp, and up to 12 hours if refrigerated. Okay, naka-ref. So 4 hours from the time of collection, meaning sa TOC everyone is time of collection, and it is stable up to 12 hours if kung ref temp. But the best always for ESR is fresh sample. So yun, if mag third year hematology 2, so ni inyohang ESR, mas ma-topic pa ni or ma-broaden pa ang discussion about your ESR. Next is your retic count or your reticulocyte count. is also from your EDTA specimen. So these cells are more stable. The specimen is good for at least 6 hours from your TOC or time of collection, and then stable for 72 hours if naka-ref temperature. Next is your glucose testing in fluoride tubes, yung gray tubes natin. Again ha, yung gray tubes natin if kung sodium fluoride. So, si sodium fluoride na siya anti-glycemic or it prevents glycolysis which breaks down the glucose. So, if you are using gray tube or your sodium fluoride tube for glucose testing, it is stable for 24 hours at room temperature but up to 48 hours if refrigerated. So, ref degrees is 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Ref temp is 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. So, again guys ha, this is for sodium fluoride, not for the yung plain tube natin. So, iba yung stability ni sodium fluoride tube which is specific for glucose testing and yung plain tube natin na ginagamit usually or routinely in the laboratory. The PT and PTT test for coagulation studies. So first is your prothrombin time. So the PT is stable up to 24 hours, but the PTT must be tested within 4 hours because it more the APTT or the PTT is more sensitive to time delays. So again, 24 hours for prothrombin time, and then your partial thromboplastin time or your APTT or PTT is 4 hours from the time of collection. But usually, silang duha ginasabay na silang test. So, yun. So, again guys, ang best na sample for everything is fresh. So, dapat after collection, ma-test nato siya dayon. But if there's a, kanang babag sa inyong testing, so, the best way, jud, is to, to preserve your sample. So, dapat kabalutas sa mga stability sa atoang mga sample in room temperature and then refrigerated or ref temperature. Next is the centrifuge. So, centrifugation, this is, again, separating your blood components like your plasma, your cell, and your plasma or serum to the cells. So, unsa man na ang centrifuge? So, I hope familiar na mo ani nga tawag ni nga gamit sa laboratory. So, or machine. So, si centrifuge is a machine that ginapatuyok niya ang blood tubes really fast to create a centrifugal force or CF, centrifugal force. Yung centrifugal force natin, it causes the bugat na elements sa blood like your RBCs to sink to the bottom. So, si bugat is magpabilin sa pinaka-bottom and the lighter components like the liquid portion of the blood, the plasma and serum stay on top. So, in centrifugation, we must do it safely and accurately to have a better result. So, we should follow certain rules. So, first is never remove the stopper of the blood tube before or during the centrifugation, which is keeping the stopper to prevent first is contamination, evaporation, aerosol formation, and also the pH changes levels sa inyong blood. So because if there's a kanang compromise, if ma-compromise ni siya tanan, syempre ma-compromise pod ang test results ninyo. So example of different types of centrifuge. So ang uban ginagamitan lang siya kani normal tubes like your evacuated tubes. Ang uban ginagamitan og conical tubes or your test tubes. So ang daghan mas napay uban na dagko yun kay nga centrifuge. But in the 506, I think, room 506, nadira ang mga centrifuge sa mga hanging cabinet, nadira ang mga centrifuge. So, this is another evacuated tubes na pwede for our centrifugation or centrifuge. So, another picture for centrifuge. So, napuntaan ni, but I think guba ito ang centrifuge na ingani sa lab sa taas. Okay? So, Another crucial point sa centrifuge is the tubes must be balanced inside the centrifuge. So that means placing the tubes of equal size and equal volume directly opposite each other. So if kung naa diri sa ang meaning nga ni is dapat magtungod jud ang inyong sample. So if ever sir kulang og isa or tulo ra ang sample na i-centrifuge nato namo unsa among buhaton, you need a balancer. Ginatawag nato na balancer. So you need to get another the same tube and then pwede ninyo siya butkan og liquid, any form of liquid na mubalance siya sa blood nga naa sa inyong tube. So mo na tong ginatawag na balancer. Because if the load is unbalanced, it could damage the machine or cause serious safety issues. So, unbalanced siya, syempre, dili pud balance ang ihang pagtuyok. So, it can cause damage sa inyong machine. Also, once the sample is na centrifuge na, centrifugation should not be repeated. So, once you've spun a specimen, don't respin it. So, okay? This can alter the components and lead to inaccurate results. Excuse me. So, natay two types of specimen. So, balik-balik na ni siya. So, first is the plasma specimen collected in tubes with anticoagulants. So, this can be centrifuged right away without delay. Sir, di ba ganina naingon ka nga si EDTA is bawal siya i-centrifuge pero naman siya anticoagulant sir and it can possibly or it can release or it can you can collect plasma from it. Dili yes guys, na siya pwede siya maka-release og plasma but exception ang atong lavender tap tube if it is done in hematology section, okay? If for hema ang inyong EDTA tube, it should not be put into centrifuge, okay? Next is the serum specimen. So these need to be clot completely so before spinning. So mga tubes na to nga pwede maka-release or maka-produce og serum, your plain tube, red top tube, your yellow unsterile tube, your orange top tube. So, kana sila nga mga tube, it can cause or it can produce the liquid portion serum in your blood. So, if kana inyohang tube, example, the red top tube, possible you can clot your sample for 60 minutes and then your yellow top tube 30 minutes and then orange top tube for thrombin nga siya thrombin particles, you can clot your sample for within 5 minutes lang. So guys, remember ninyo remember din ninyo ang inyong plasma and serum kung asa na ninyo siya makuha. So ginabalik-balik pud nako ang para ma-remember niyo siya nga PUSC or PUSI. P for plasma, uncoagulated or unclotted, and then serum is for your clotted. So, please remember that. Bantay pag-abot ninyo phlebotomy if kung mangutana ko na sa inyo dili mo katubag pabalikon jud ta mo PMLS 2. Okay, so yun, if once done once centrifuge imong sample, if anticoagulated imong blood, it can produce your pinaka-heavy is the red cell sa pinakababa. And then sa tunga, the white blood cells and platelets or the Buffy coat ginatawag nato. And then the plasma is naa sa taas, which again plasma is differentiated to serum because of the fibrinogen present in plasma. Then your serum is minus the fibrinogen and then nagclot ang inyong cells. Sir, nabay Buffy coat ang amo ang serum tube? Wala. Okay? Walay Buffy coat ang inyong serum tube. Okay? So, in exam, if mangutana ko, if nabay Buffy coat inyong serum tube, di magtinanga og answer. So, wala. So, guys, next, if when it's time na need na to ang serum or plasma need na to ang serum or plasma for testing, yung mga modern na mga machine nato karon, it can test the sample directly na through the stopper. So once ma-centrifuge, butang na siya sa machine, and then musip na na si machine o kuan o kanang um, liquid or your plasma or serum. But if you ever need to remove the stopper manually, safety is a must. So use a face shield or splash guard to protect yourself. Then cover the stopper with gauze or tissue to prevent um, aerosol aerosol release or leaking blood. Sorry. Then remove the stopper by pulling it straight up and off. So kaning mga precautions can help you to protect you and also maintain the integrity of the specimen and also your machine. So, natay ginatawag na aliquot. So, aliquot preparation. So, aliquot preparation is a routine but very important step in specimen processing. So, an aliquot is simply a portion of a specimen that's taken from the original sample tube. So ginagmay, ginaalikot lang nimo, ginatagtag nimo ang nakuha nimo nga serum, plasma or even your RBC. So mo na ang alicoating. So we prepare an aliquot when multiple tests need to be done on the same sample. So instead of using the original tube na ginabutang nato siya per machine, you can aliquot your sample. So divide it into smaller portions, and then you can test simultaneously sa mga gibutang nimo na sample sa iyong machine. Again, aliquot is a portion, a small specimen taken for chemical analysis or testing, or dividing your sample into smaller portions. Mo na siya ang aliquot. So para sa multiple tests, daghan kag ma-test for a single specimen. Okay, you can order multiple tests for a single specimen. So aliquoting is done using a disposable transfer pipette, and the new tubes must be labeled with the exact same patient information as the original. So because accuracy sa labeling is very crucial to avoid mix-up sa inyong patient specimen. Next is remember guys that never mix specimens that have different anticoagulants in one aliquot tube. So if doing that thing na, like for example gikan sa heparin then mix ninyo with the EDTA tube, it can interfere with the test results and lead to false readings. So also, once the aliquot is transferred, the phlebotomist or the medtech should make sure ang tube is immediately covered. Ginagamitan siya paraffin wax, parafilm dye, sorry. Di siya paraffin wax. Parafilm, PARAFILM, film, sumpay sila. So this helps prevent the contamination, and also it can prevent the integrity of your sample. Then so yun. So in short guys, magamit mo og clean pipette, then i-transfer ninyo, then label, then ayaw i-mix ang mga anticoagulants with other anticoagulants, then seal the tube right away, always cover your tube, and then yun, you're ready to go. Next is we are in the 39th slide over 43, hapit na ta. So last subtopic for this lesson. So the OSHA required protective equipment worn when processing specimens. So meaning lang na mag-use ta og PPE in all times, in all situations sa laboratory. So when you're processing blood or your body other body fluid in the laboratory, so you are exposed to potential infectious materials. So even kaila ka sa imuhang gikuha ag dugo, kaila ka sa nipasa og ihi, you should consider your sample as infectious. So that's the general rule. Bisan pagmama na nimo, dapat infectious imong tanaw sa sample. That means there's a real risk in all your sample, not just to your test results, but also to your health. So that's why in uh, nagafollow ta og Occupational Safety and Health Standards Act, or also your 11-11058. So your RA 11058. So the RA 11058, this law requires every healthcare institution to um, provide and enforce the use of the PPE, or your proper protective equipment, not just for us recommendation, but as a legal requirement for all medical laboratory scientists. So yung mga ano natin, yung mga PPE natin includes our gloves. So to syempre again, to protect your hands from um, exposure to blood or other contamination, your laboratory gown or coats, your masks, syempre to protect against splashes, aerosols, or respiratory droplets that might carry pathogens. Also, the PPE is your first line of defense against infection. Okay? So that's why I'm very strict about PPE. So always you'd wear a lab gown. Your RA 11058, or an act strengthening compliance with occupational safety and health standards. RA 11058. And then that's the end of our presentation. So for lesson 9 or unit 9, so for blood processing. So hopefully, naka-take note mo for this lesson. If you need further readings, you can read the Ebwen book. Siya ang source ani na PowerPoint presentation, and also for ano pa jud, deep reading. You can use Phlebotomy Essential by McCall. So Ruth McCall. So hopefully guys, na ano ninyo, nakuha ninyo ang lesson. So dili ko mo hatag og PowerPoint for this para dili mo mag-copy and paste, but I know you're you're resourceful, so for sure mangita jud mo sa internet ani nga copy. But again, daghan kog mga inputs for this one, and hopefully naminaw mo og tarong. And everyone, you can also put inputs from, or in your notes ha, from the book na wala na ako na discuss, wala na ako na, or nakulangan mo o nakulangan mo sa akong explanation. You can always supplement your ideas or your questions with answers from reading your books. And also, if I have time in next meeting, I'll make sure na ano na to ni, ma-run through na po na balik ng tanina lesson. So hopefully, naay mo yung nasabtan, and also prepare quiz for next meeting.